Hi there, this is Jennifer. Welcome to Crafting in Carrollville. I'm so glad you're here today. I hope that you will subscribe, ring the bell so that you're notified every time I upload a video. Here are the supplies that we are working with today. All this came from the bins, my favorite place to find my materials for thrift flips. We're going to start with this alarm clock. First thing I'm going to do is disassemble it so that it's no longer a functional clock. I don't have a problem with that at all. Do we really still use analog clocks for the most part? I don't think we do. Anyway, I'm just using my needle nose pliers to pull out the prongs that are in there so I can take the clock mechanism out. Of course, it has a glass face, and I'm going to use that glass face to give myself a template so I can trace out and make a new front for my clock. I have two of these clocks that are exactly the same. I bought them both from the bins at separate times, and I've been saving them for such a project as this. I'm super excited about putting that Chanticleer Rooster from IOD on an alarm clock. I think it's just so ironic, and I love irony in art. I think it's just a really cool thing. So I'm painting one of those faces black, and the other one will be sort of an off-white color that I mixed up several different colors of white to match the clock that you saw there at the beginning. I've already painted my other clock black and used some gold rub and buff to add some embellishment to it, and you'll see that as we go. I don't do both of those things on camera. I come back and decide that white one needs a second coat of paint, so I do give that 2 coats of paint. Now my next step is to start to paint these roosters. I wish that I could lay these flat, especially this one, and just show you everything that I'm doing. But if I do that, I can't see what I'm doing. So I have to hold it up close to my face to be able to see what I'm doing. A little bit sight challenged. I'm showing you there with that paintbrush that I have dozens of these paintbrushes, and if they're not the right shape for what I'm painting, I just trim the bristles a little bit. They might be too pointy and not stiff enough, so I just cut some of those bristles down and I just create the shape that I need them to be. They're super cheap brushes from Temu. Bought them a long time ago. Still have dozens that I haven't used. So I'm just using a combination of some metallic paint, some paint that's called Color Shift. It's all from Folk Art Plaid, the Plaid company. And I'm painting these feathers different colors of jeweled tones. And you'll see as I'm painting, if I'm going to paint a feather a lighter color than that base coat of gray that I've given that rooster, then I come in first and paint it a lighter color, if you know what I mean. So I'm basically giving it a light base coat, and then I plan to come in with a lighter color that needs that more vibrant color underneath to show up. I think you know what I mean when you see it happening. So that yellow isn't going to stay that flat yellow. It's going to be one of the Color Shift colors. It's sort of like a hologram type color where as the light hits it differently, it gives off a different color. So it could be yellow or it could be green, or a combination of those two colors. The color on his big tail feather there is sapphire, and that is a metallic paint. So I go between metallic and this Color Shift color. The Color Shift paint seems to need to have a base coat under it. So for instance, the red that I used on his comb and his wattle, I painted the comb and the wattle just a normal flat red first, and then I went over it with a metallic red, and that really sets it off quite a bit. I'm using my heat gun to dry as I go so that I don't smudge any of the paint with my fingers. And like I said, I wish I could just lie this flat and show you exactly the process of painting. I'm sure y'all get what I'm doing. I just wish that, it could be like this super relaxing moment where you just sit and watch this rooster take shape. But I can't see it. So I do have this super great magnifier that my husband bought me for Christmas, and I forgot all about it. So next time I paint a project like this, I'm going to try that out and see if that helps me and you. Me see it better on this, at this stage, and then you see it better in the video. But you get what I'm doing. I've picked like a bunch of jeweled tones for this particular rooster. I want him to be as bright and vibrant as roosters are. I'm putting him on a black backdrop, so he is just going to be the star of the show on my alarm clock, my black alarm clock. I'm coming in with this little tiny brush, and I'm painting those individual feathers right there before you get to his tail. So you can make this as detailed or as, not detailed as you want. Those are all my brushes I'm using. I keep them clean with baby wipes in between strokes. I just wipe them down as I go, keep them clean. You don't want paint gumming up on your paintbrushes as you're painting. That doesn't make for a very smooth paint job. So this IOD mold, I didn't show myself molding it, but it's one of those symmetrical molds that you could actually make, you could get the whole 360 view of the rooster if you cast it together. So I know that Erin has done that on the Provincial Farmhouse. I haven't done that yet. I have plans to do that, but I haven't done it yet. Now moving on to my white rooster, I can show you this one a little more clearly because it's not quite as detailed as that first one was. I'm basically just using the same combination of types of paint, but I'm using all white paint. So I'm using metallics, I'm using the color shift paint. It's called White Flash if you're looking for it. It kind of gives that iridescent look like a hologram. It's really, I love this particular paint. You've probably seen me use it if you watch my videos across several projects. I seem to use it all the time. I buy it at Michael's. And so I'm making his tail feathers, obviously super showy because that's what roosters have that they love to show off, as beautiful tail feathers. And then some with his, like his underbelly feathers and things like that, I'm using more of a flat paint. And then I'm going to come in with some wax and just barely hit those feathers with some wax. I'm not sure that I show that. This was a lot of painting for these particular projects. And this is what I call, this is the real artistic fun part of painting right here. This is, you have an end goal in mind, a certain look that you're going for. I do give him obviously a red wattle and a red comb on top, and I use the same combination of paint for that I did on my colorful rooster. I use the flat red paint underneath, and then I come over top of it and add the more sparkly stuff. It's like when you paint your fingernails. If you've ever painted your fingernails with glitter or a sparkly top coat, you need a base coat underneath. So that's kind of how that works. I love the way he's turning out. I just paint the landscape under him. I just leave him the tone that I had him. It's sort of a beige tone. And then I come in with brown wax and basically just wipe as much of it out as I can. I just want some of those details to pop. But I'm content to just let this be very neutral. I paint his feet yellow and then I tone it down with some wax as well. But I'm super content to let this one be pretty muted because he's going on a white backdrop in that clock that you saw at the beginning. So I love the way these turn out. I have done several different renditions of roosters on alarm clocks just because I think it's so funny. Here I am. I just use hot glue to attach my backer back into my clock, and then of course I do come in and paint the back white. A piece isn't finished until you've painted the back. That's just the rule. I don't do that on camera just for time's sake. I'm using my more industrial hot glue, and I'm using on the outside as well after I lay my board down so that it creates a little bit of a gasket there. You can see that there's still some space between my front and my clock, but I come back and fix that. So there's my 2 alarm clocks. I love these. I think they're so special. Now I've got these little wood drawers. I showed you one in the beginning of the video. I have 4 of these. So I have done most of the work off camera at this point. I've painted them. I've added feet to 3 of them, but I did save one so I can show you what that looks like. So while I'm painting, let's talk about my next video. I want to show you how I design decoupage paper. So y'all, if you have the materials, you can decoupage paper of your own. You can design decoupage paper of your own. You really don't need any special materials. You might just have a special photograph you want to use or a special image. So be thinking about that, because in my next video I'm actually going to record my computer screen and show you how I design decoupage paper, and then we'll work with that decoupage paper. So that'll be super fun. And also I'll make it so that it's available for you to purchase. We'll do a digital download or something like that. So if you don't want to go through the trouble of making a decoupage paper and you like what I come up with, then I'll make it available as a digital download. And we'll talk about that in my next video. So now I'm going to add some feet to this little drawer. I add feet to all 4 of them. They all turn out a little bit differently. I give them different, I use the same graphics across all of them, but I do different things on the feet and the little knobs. I'm using my drill to just barely drill into those drawers, and I'm trying to drill into the absolute edge there, obviously not the flat part of the bottom of the drawer, because my screw would go right through there. They're a little bit longer than that. So I try to arrange my feet so that I'm hitting those edges. And if I'm not, then I actually just drill new holes in the feet themselves and work with them that way. I got these feet on Amazon. I'm just using a hand screwdriver to screw them in. The heads are a little bit too small for my my drill screwdriver. These are the mysterious feet that I lost. Like I had 2 packages of them. I lost the first one. I've told you this. I had to order them again from Amazon. And I actually found my first set. So I was super excited about that. And you know where I put them? I put them in the same place that I bought my that I put my second set. So so now they're all together. You know, things that my husband has this saying. I'm sure, you know, we've all heard it. A place for everything and everything in its place, whatever that means. So here I am water sliding images onto my drawers. This was, I think, the fastest way to get all the images where I wanted them to be. I just printed out 2 sheets of images that I liked from Creative Fabrica. You're going to see that here in a minute. I'm going to show you in the frame what my sheets look like. There they are, and I'm just cutting out pieces that I want. I have sealed this water slide paper with 2 coats or 3 coats of a matte finish. So I use the 2X Rust-Oleum matte sealer for this water slide paper. If you're new to water slide and you've never done it before, that might be the way to go. As you gain more experience, the better sealer to use is the Mod Podge acrylic spray, and I'll tell you why. The first one I mentioned, the Rust-Oleum sealer, it changes the composition of the paper. It makes it rubbery and thicker, which makes it easier to work with. See, I can take it off and put it back on with no problem at all. If I used the Mod Podge acrylic sealer, I might not have that option. without ripping the paper. So the actual sealer you use makes a big difference in how, what's the word, how viable your paper is. In other words, you get a more rubbery paper here. It's easier to work with, but it doesn't stick as well. So I did go over these with Mod Podge. In any case, you do have to seal waterslide paper, so even if I didn't go over them with Mod Podge, I would have sealed them with either my matte sealer again or my acrylic spray by Mod Podge, which I am definitely going back to that in the future when I do waterslide paper. If you want to see a more detailed video of waterslide paper, I'm going to put a video in the end card that will show you my guitar makeover that I did, and I really go into depth on how to use waterslide paper. This is just sort of, you watching me do something without a lot of explanation. You can see that in order to transfer your image, you have to soak your waterslide paper in water, hence waterslide paper. You soak it for 30 to 60 seconds, and then it's ready to go. And when I'm doing a project like these little drawers, I just print out a specific image. These are, obviously sort of French country, shabby chic type images that I have used here, and I'm just cutting them down to fit the size of my little drawers. So it's very random. I'm not after any specific image necessarily on each drawer. It's just pretty random with what I've printed out. I'm taking an X-Acto blade and cutting around those little feet. Honestly, I should have done the water slide first and then put the feet on. I didn't really think that through, but I do have my Mod Podge there because I come back and I finish all of these with Mod Podge. That's not how I usually choose to seal my water slide, and you'll see that if you watch my other videos, but that's how I did it this time. And it's mostly because the paper changed texture according to the sealer that I used. I'm coming in with that same white flash paint and painting those little feet. And on this one didn't have a little drawer front, like a handle. So I just added a little pearl bead to be the little drawer pull, and I painted it with the same, actually I did gold rub and buff on it. And you can see that in the end reveal. You can see they all have a different look to them, but they are definitely a coordinated set of little drawers. What you would use these for, you could put them in a tiered tray, you could put a little candle in them, you can put a succulent in them. There are definitely some ideas that would work to make these, a functional piece of decor. You could just stack 3 of them together and have something, coming out of each of them. I like to make functional pieces. Obviously, you've seen me make phone stands, tablet stands, things like that, but also, we all love a nice little decor piece too. You could use these over by your sink to put your rings in. Whatever you had in mind to use them for, you could use them. Now I'm coming in with my Best Dang Wax by Dixie Belle, the brown color, just to give these all some distressed edges. I'm going to put the wax on and then rub it off with a baby wipe, as we do. And I love this finishing touch. I think it just adds the right amount of distressing. And you're going to see in the end reveal, and as I go here, that on this particular one, I just used some gold rub and buff to bring out the raised details in those feet. And on the little drawer pull, they just look so sweet and so cute. I really love the way these came out. These are jewelry box drawers. There was a jewelry box that was taken apart at the bins, and so I just grabbed the drawers. The whole thing together wouldn't have been much good because there were parts missing, and now there are definitely parts missing because I have the drawers, but It wasn't a complete jewelry box to begin with, is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm using the same brush that I typically use for my brown wax. I try to keep my brushes separate so that I'm not using different brushes for those mediums, because I don't like to gum up all my brushes and destroy them that way. So I do have 4 of these little drawers. So throughout this particular DIY, you're seeing all 4 of them at one point or another. And at the end, you'll see them all together. They are super cute. You know, you can find some, if you have a bins near you, I would encourage you to go, which is another thing I wanted to tell you. I'm so sorry. Some of y'all had some complaints about how fast I went at my bins, my first bins video last week. I promise you I'm making another one. I've filmed a couple times and I won't speed it up so much. They did have better things in the bins to dig through. So that is a factor. So many of the bins were empty in my first bins video that there wasn't a lot to see. But I have been there a couple times since. So after we do the decoupage paper and I show you how to design that, we're going to go back to the bins same way, and I'm going to show you what I made with what I found. So here are those 4 drawers, how they turned out. Super cute. I just love them. I think they're just darling. I hope you like them too. Now I have one more project, and I know you're tired of seeing me work with Waffles and Ginger. And if you've been watching, you're definitely tired, but it's okay? I have to do it because we've got shows coming up. So I'm using these little heart plates. I think they may have come from the Dollar Tree. If they didn't come from the Dollar Tree, they came from the Target dollar spot. And they were like buffalo check pattern, a Christmas pattern, whatever. I just painted them a bisque white with spray paint. That's the easiest way to get a nice smooth finish for what I'm doing here. And then I've just printed this paper, this design that I created with a photo that I took in a Highlands cow pasture, and I am decoupaging that image onto these little plates. That's simple, but this is the time of year where we get very redundant around here at the Barnyard Boutique because we have shows coming up. So I'm creating stuff with my artwork because that's what I do. So if you're interested in working with Waffles and Ginger yourself, I do have this decoupage paper available on Zazzle. It will come to you straight from Zazzle, and I will put the link in the description box. Several of you, many of you have already bought this design, so thank you for that. I truly appreciate that. I love it that y'all can work with my artwork, that you buy my artwork. You know, we have our repeat customers at every show we go to, and they tell me about their Jennifer wall, and it just it cracks me up, makes me cringe a little bit, but it's super flattering, and I love that. I'm coating these with Mod Podge. That's the sealer that I'm applying to them. I have 6 of these. I love to have multiples of things, so anytime I see a stack of something at the bins and it immediately comes to mind what I'm going to do with them, I definitely get all of them. I'm using the sandpaper trick just to sand the edges off of that paper, and if I scuff those edges up a little bit, that's not going to bother me because I'm going to finish them. You're going to see what that looks like. So here I am with my finger sander, just sanding the edges off of those. Again, this is a super simple project that y'all could do if y'all have a booth, if y'all have, you know, if you're a vendor somewhere at shows like we are. These are some simple projects that you could do in a hurry and have an impressive like stack of the same thing. And it always looks more purposeful when you have several of something. And whether or not you put them out, you know, in a stack or you put them out one at a time, is up to you. I usually put them out in a stack just because I want, when people come to my shows, I want people to know that I prepared for them. Like, I'm ready. Like, you know, I've got all my stuff out here for you to see. And it also helps your event planner if you have a full booth, if you have lots and lots of inventory. Not just, on display and in your booth, but under your tables, in your car, in your vehicle, whatever. I'm showing you there that I'm going to use a little finger protector, and I am going to actually sort of gild these edges with gold Rub and Buff. So I'm just going to take my Rub and Buff and I'm going to rub it along the edge of those little plates. Y'all saw me do this a couple videos ago when we made the little bird nests and the plate and saucers. So these aren't going to be perfectly gilded but the ones that you buy, plates that you buy, fine china, they're not perfect either because they're hand done. And it really just sort of adds to the charm, I feel. Super in love with these little things. Anything with Waffles and Ginger on it has turned out to be something I really love, and they just go so well on hearts, don't they? Like, where else would you put them? I am thinking about making some of my artwork available for y'all to work with as digital downloads. If that's something you would be interested in, please leave a comment. I'm trying to go with what I see in the comments. That's why we're going to do the decoupage paper design, because it's something y'all overwhelmingly told me you would like to see. So there's that. And if y'all would like for me to make some of my artwork available so that you could work with it, I would do that on a limited basis, and we'll work out the commercial stuff and that kind of stuff. But I would give you definitely a personal use license. So we'll talk about that. So there's my little stack of saucers. Aren't they so cute? Here are all my finished projects. I hope that you'll stick around and watch till the very end. There is another video that you can click on that would help out a lot if you just go watch and see a more detailed description of how to do water slide. Until next time, y'all have a good week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.